Hey there, and welcome to Echoes of Age. This is the place where we talk real stuff about getting older, in a way that helps you feel stronger, stay sharper, and live better every single day. We're diving into the things no one really talks about when it comes to aging, but should. Let's jump in, Ted.
Have you ever noticed how, as we get older, people stop talking about things that matter most? Things like intimacy, pleasure, and feeling connected to our own bodies. It's almost as if once you pass a certain age, you're expected to leave those parts of yourself behind, like they're no longer relevant. But I want to tell you something right from the start. Just because you're older doesn't mean you stop being human. And part of being human is having a relationship with your own body. Yes, even when it comes to touch, pleasure, and yes, masturbation. Now, I know that word might feel a bit strange or even uncomfortable. For many of us, we were raised in times where such topics were kept behind closed doors, maybe even shamed. But here, on this channel, we speak openly, kindly, and truthfully because your well-being matters. Every part of it. So let's sit together like old friends and have a real conversation. Masturbation is not just about sex. It's about connection. It's about self-care. And as we grow older, staying connected to our bodies becomes more important than ever. You see, when we neglect that connection, we're not just ignoring pleasure, we're missing out on some powerful benefits that help us live longer, feel better, and maintain our dignity and confidence. Let me explain what I mean. Our bodies change over time. That's natural. Hormones shift, muscles weaken, skin thins, and our responses become a little slower. But the truth is, your body is still yours. Still beautiful. Still capable of feeling and giving comfort. When you take time to reconnect with it, even in the simplest, most private ways, you're reminding yourself that you are still alive, still deserving of joy, still in charge. And here's the thing most people don't realize. Regular self-touch, when done with care and comfort, helps keep your body functioning. For both men and women, masturbation increases blood flow, which supports healthy tissue, helps prevent dryness, and keeps things working smoothly. It also reduces stress. It can improve sleep. It even boosts your immune system by releasing those lovely feel-good chemicals in your brain, like dopamine and oxytocin, that help balance your mood and calm your nerves. You know, I once spoke with a woman named Elena. She was 74, widowed for nearly a decade. She told me that for years, after her husband passed, she felt like a part of her had simply shut down. It wasn't just grief, it was as if she believed she no longer had the right to feel that kind of closeness, even with herself. But then she started small. Just a few moments a week, giving herself permission to explore what felt good again, without shame. And do you know what happened? She told me she started sleeping better. Her mood lifted. She felt less anxious during the day. But most importantly, she started feeling whole again. Not just a woman moving through time, but someone still deeply connected to herself. And she's not alone. There are many people in their 60s, 70s, and even 80s who have rediscovered this quiet, private form of self-love and found that it brings more life, not less. They're not chasing youth. They're simply honoring the present. But let's also be honest. There are reasons why many older adults stop. Maybe there's physical discomfort, or maybe years of guilt or embarrassment still linger. Maybe no one ever told you that it's okay, even healthy, to touch yourself as you age. If that's the case, I want to gently challenge that old belief. Because the truth is, not doing it, completely avoiding any self-touch, can actually create more issues in the long run. Lack of stimulation, especially in older age, can lead to physical decline in certain areas of the body. For women, vaginal atrophy becomes more common when there's no regular blood flow or movement. For men, erectile function can decline more rapidly without occasional stimulation. But beyond the physical, there's an emotional cost too. When we stop connecting with our bodies, we begin to feel more distant from ourselves. Sometimes it shows up as low mood, sometimes as irritability, or that nagging sense that something's missing, but you can't quite put your finger on it. That's why this conversation matters. Because you deserve to feel whole, not just in body, but in spirit. You deserve to feel at home in yourself, no matter what your age or relationship status. And remember, this is not about performance or pressure. There's no goal here. This isn't about trying to be someone you once were. This is about honoring the body you live in right now, today. It's about saying, I'm still here. I still matter. I still deserve comfort. So if it's been a while and you're feeling unsure, just start with curiosity. No expectations. No rules. Maybe you begin by simply sitting quietly, placing your hand over your heart or your belly, and breathing. Feeling what it's like to be in your body again. Maybe you give yourself permission to explore gently, kindly, with no judgment. It's not about what it looks like. It's about what it feels like to simply be present. In the next part of this video, we'll talk more about the emotional and psychological side of things. Because touch isn't just physical. It reaches into our sense of identity, of worth, of connection. And when we lose that, we often begin to lose parts of ourselves that we didn't even realize were still there, quietly waiting. But for now, just know this, your body still belongs to you. Your pleasure is not expired. Your right to feel good, to explore, to reconnect, never ends. You're not too old. You're not out of time. In fact, this might be the perfect time to begin again, on your own terms. You know, one of the most powerful things I've learned in talking to so many people over the age of 60 is that the need for closeness, for touch, and for feeling desired never really goes away. It might quiet down for a while. It might even go unnoticed, especially after a major life change like the loss of a partner, retirement, or a move. But deep inside, that part of us still longs to feel connected, not just to others, but to ourselves. When we stop giving ourselves that connection, we start to lose a part of our identity. We may still function, go about our routines, even enjoy hobbies, but something's missing. Something that used to make us feel alive, whole, and deeply human. That's not just about sex. It's about affection, intimacy, and the simple joy of feeling at home in our own bodies. For many older adults, especially after a long marriage or the passing of a partner, there's a kind of quiet grief that settles in. Not just from the loss of the person, but the loss of being touched, held, and looked at with affection. And sometimes, even years later, that absence leaves a weight we carry without even realizing it. But here's something beautiful, something real. You have the ability to give yourself some of that comfort back. It doesn't replace what was lost, no. But it can begin to heal what was forgotten. Because when you show up for yourself in this way, with kindness and acceptance, you're reminding your heart and your body that you still belong to each other. I know for some people, the idea of starting again, especially in the realm of pleasure, can feel awkward or even silly. But I want to gently suggest this. What if it's not silly at all? What if it's one of the most natural, healing things you could do for yourself? Think about how children instinctively reach for a hug when they're upset, or how we gently hold our own hand when we're nervous. It's in our nature to comfort ourselves through touch. And as adults, we've just learned to hide it, suppress it, or treat it like something shameful. But it's not. Especially not in older age, when the rest of the world so often stops seeing us as sensual, emotional beings. You don't need anyone's permission to feel good. You don't need a partner to experience intimacy. And you certainly don't need to apologize for wanting to feel connected again. If you're feeling lonely, if your mind is restless, or if your self-esteem has taken a hit lately, please understand, those aren't just passing moods. They're signs that your heart and body are asking you for attention. And you can answer that call. You absolutely can. In fact, studies have shown that regular self-pleasure can actually improve your emotional health. It helps regulate mood, reduces anxiety, and can even ease symptoms of depression. That's not a small thing. For someone who spends long hours alone, or whose daily life has grown quieter with age, these small acts of self-connection can make a world of difference. And it's not about frequency. It's not about how often or how long. It's about intention, about choosing even just once a week to honor yourself, to listen to your body's needs without shame or apology. That's real self-care. That's real love. A gentleman I spoke with recently, Richard, age 79, told me that after his wife passed, he went through a stretch of 3 years where he simply shut down emotionally. He filled his days with television and crossword puzzles. He stayed physically healthy, but emotionally, He felt empty. Then one day, after watching a documentary about aging and intimacy, something clicked. He realized he was still here, still alive, still capable of feeling. He began taking time just to be with himself, to explore what felt good, to listen to his body like an old friend. And slowly he came back to life. Not because of someone else, but because he let himself feel again. That's the power of this conversation. It's not just about masturbation. It's about reclaiming the parts of yourself that time and silence may have buried. It's about allowing joy back into your life, on your own terms, in your own way. And if you're wondering whether it's too late, or whether it even matters anymore, I want you to hear this clearly. It is never too late to care for yourself. It is never too late to reconnect with pleasure. You don't need to be young, thin, partnered, or glamorous. You just need to be willing to meet yourself where you are, with kindness, patience, and curiosity. So if it's been years, or maybe you've never even allowed yourself this kind of care, just know that you're not broken. You're not alone. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with you. On the contrary, you're wise enough now to understand how precious your body really is, and how much it still has to offer, not just to others, but to you. In the final part of this video, we'll talk about how to bring this sense of connection into your daily life, not just in private moments, but in the way you carry yourself, care for yourself, and speak to yourself each and every day. Because the more you nourish your body with pleasure and kindness, the more your spirit begins to glow again. And that glow? It's unmistakable.